So today I want to go over my MacBook Pro setup using Aerospace, Sketchybar, JankyBorders, and Raycast. So I'm really excited just to share how I've been using it, and the main reason why I've been using these applications is because I kind of wanted to move. It's kind of funny, right? From a mouse and keyboard kind of setup to just using the keyboard. So with Aerospace, it allows me to just use a keyboard and be able to switch windows and switch applications pretty quickly. So let's first get started with Aerospace. So we have to understand what is Aerospace. So when you look at my screen right now, you can see two applications are open side by side, and you see this red border. So what Aerospace is and what it does, it's a Windows tiling manager for those familiar with i3 and Linux, and it allows you to have applications set up in tiles, right, across your screen. So the more applications you open, obviously the more cramped it will get. So right now I have two applications open side by side, and it's very convenient. Now if I start opening applications, I'm gonna just open up Ghosty. It's gonna see right now with this vertical layout, it's gonna open it on the side. Now I've opened up another application. This is a browser. It's gonna open it on the side. So you can see here, it just keeps opening apps and apps and apps and apps. And obviously it'll get to the point where it'll be very difficult to manage. But what's really neat is that when you have these applications open, just using the keyboard, you're able to just go back and forth just using the keyboard without using your mouse. So right now, this is my mouse. I'm gonna put it to the side. I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna use the keyboard. And I'm gonna turn on this little camera here, and I'm gonna put the mouse over here. So right now, I know that I'm in a certain application because of the red border on the application. So that's called, that's actually JankyBorders. So JankyBorders, I set that red color as a primary color, and I put the, I think it's like 5 width. So it's not too overbearing, but it's easy enough for me to spot and understand which application I'm on. So I know right now I am on the Ghosty application. I just know because I know that's Ghosty. And then, so I can just type anything and just, cat, something, I don't know. LSB, what is it? I forgot what the command is. Anyways, the LL or something like that, clear the screen. So that's pretty neat. Now, if I wanted to switch applications, it's very, very easy. So I'm using a Mac. So on a Mac, you got to keep in mind the option is the Alt key. Alt option, right? So if I hold the Option key and I press H, it goes to the left. If I press L, it goes to the right. So this is following, if I'm not mistaken, Vim motions, where you use these keys to move left, right, up, down. So like J and K, down and up, right? Up and down, whatever. So if I hit H, it goes to Kitty. And now how do I know that? Because of the red border. Now if I hit H one more time, it goes to Chrome. How do I know that? Because of the red border. So it's easy to go back and forth between applications. And then if I wanted to move an application, let's say I wanted to have Chrome in the middle, I hold Option, Shift, and this allows me to move the application. So I want to move to the right, so I'm going to hit L. So now Chrome is in the middle. So this is really neat, right? So I can move applications. So right now they're stacked vertically. So if I wanted to stack them horizontally, if I'm not, is Alt or Option, Shift, then it should be, if I'm not mistaken, V. Is it Alt Shift or Control V? See, this is where documentation comes in handy. So I'm gonna go here. Oh, look at that. I need my keyboard real quick. Actually, no, I don't. You know what? I'm just gonna use Tab to go down to the text. I'm gonna remove that. But we're gonna go here. I'm gonna go to my dot files. So I'm using Kitty with Z Shell, and I have these. If you want to see the dot files where that goes, let me just go to Kitty real quick. I think Kitty, not Kitty. I'm sorry, Z Shell and ZHRC. I just have all these aliases that I created. So, anyways, it allows me to have these keyboard shortcuts. Like for example, I use brew, so I use brew up to update it instead of having to do brew update and brew upgrade. I just do brew up and it does both of them together. Oh, look at that. Oh, crap. It's downloading Chrome. Chrome's gonna ask me for a password yet. All right. But the cool thing about Kitty, as you can see in the bottom, I have multiple tabs. So if it was taking too long and I wanted to go to another tab or open a new tab, just hold Command T, opens a new tab. To move between the tabs, oh, it's asking me administrator. Oh, I'm gonna need to use my mouse. It's not letting me tab. Come on, tab. Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay. If I want to move back and forth, just Command. Oh, you can do that, but Command Shift and then left bracket, and left bracket, right bracket. So it allows me to move between the tabs. Is it installing? Oh yeah, it's still going. Okay, I'm gonna go back here. So I'm gonna go to my .files, and then what I want to show you is the Aerospace configuration. So I'm gonna go Aerospace. Here we go. Awesome. So let's go to the very top. So I started getting into this. I'm using NeoVim, and the package or the distribution I'm currently using is LazyVim. I've been using it for about 6 months. I'm really enjoying the keyboard movements up and down. So J is down, K is up, and then L right, H left. Anyways, it's not a tutorial for NeoVim, but this is kind of why I went with Aerospace. Once I started using NeoVim, it kind of just became a match made in heaven, I guess I can say. So when I go down, as you can see here, it says after startup command, I have this Sketchybar. So Sketchybar is at the top. I'll talk about that after. And then I have the border. And right now this is the border. The active color is some red. I think it's like the lightsaber red because I'm a big Star Wars fan. And then the width is 5. So for some reason on certain applications, it looks a lot smaller. As you can see, look on Kitty, you can see it's more prominent than it is on Chrome. And it's same here with Ghosty. Just to save some space, I'm going to close Ghosty. There you go. Just so it's a little bit bigger and easier to see. So you can see here it's running this bash, and it's telling Sketchybar to trigger Aerospace workspace change. So whenever I change a workspace, which I'll show you in a second, but Aerospace is really nice because it has workspaces, but it works a lot better than the native Mac workspaces because it's very easily to switch between workspaces. And you can see that right now because my Sketchybar configuration can detect the Aerospace workspaces. So I'll show you that in a second. But start at logon, which is true. I'm not going to go over all these settings. It's going to go down. I'm going to hold Control, press D just to go down a little bit faster. So because I have multiple monitors, and if I show you, actually you're seeing the little iPhone camera, but I'm just going to make it a little bigger. Oh, this whole time it was not showing correctly. Anyways, here on my right I have another screen, which is in a vertical layout, and it's a Lenovo. So I have multiple screens. Here my monitor, this is just the default monitor from the MacBook. So whenever I'm not docked and using it, I have a configuration for the gaps. And the gaps determines the spacing. I'm going to use my mouse real quick, but it determines this spacing and this spacing up here. So if you change it, you can kind of see like it'll change this spacing here. So it's kind of like a padding on the outside. So you see they're close, but there's a little bit of spacing. And this is where, outer left. So even here, you can see a little bit of the background on the left. So this is a 5. So if I change this to a 0, it'll just go all the way to the edge. But I do like the little bit of spacing. There's a little bit of spacing at the bottom as well. And the reason why I have different configurations is because obviously each monitor is a little bit different. And the main one is outer top, which is here. On the Mac, if I use 40, it will cover up a large portion of the applications. Even these will overlap, or Sketchybar will overlap over the applications on my Mac. So I had to create 4 so that Sketchybar doesn't overlap the applications. So, so this way it can detect it. So I specifically put the monitors, and this information you can easily get. I'm gonna open up a new window at the bottom. So I'm gonna hold Command and press Enter, and I'm gonna show you Aerospace. And it says list. I think it's monitors. Yeah, so it tells you the monitors are connected. So this is pretty neat. Obviously my MacBook is docked, so it doesn't show the Retina display. So now I'm just gonna close this, Command W, keyboard shortcut that I have. And then here, we can see here, Alt A, B, C, and Alt Shift A, B, C. So Alt A, I'm just putting this key binding, Alt A. And what this is doing is I'm adding this key bind for the vertical monitor on my right. And I don't know why the camera's not working. Just take a look. Oh, I think it's working now. There you go. All right, so my screen on the right, this is where I have, obviously additional options. So it's mainly for code. And this is where screen A, B, and C are. So as you can see here in the configuration, I'm gonna go back to the configuration. There's A, B, and C. Actually, let me just put picture in picture so you can kind of see. So there's A, B, and C. So if I wanted to go to A, workspace A, I just hold Option and press A, and then it goes to A. So I can see here the red border around VS Code. Let me just put the screen a little bigger. Red border around VS Code. Now if I go up to the application up top, which is Option K, so you can see the red border. It's hard to see, obviously, on the camera, but there's a red border, so I know that's highlighted. And I can move up and down, and it's really neat. So this allows me to know that A, B, and C workspaces are for this monitor specifically. Actually, not for this monitor, but I identified it here. So let's go back. And let's go down. So here where the focus is, where you change application. So like I mentioned, Alt or Option on a Mac. So let's move left, right, H and L, move left, right. And then as you showed you on the second monitor, which is vertical, and the applications are stacked on top of one another, I was using Alt or Option J and K to move up and down. And then here, Alt Shift, this allows me to move the application. So if I wanted to move Kitty, right now the terminal to the right, I just have to hold Option Shift and then press L. Now it moves it, it's stacked. Now it moves it to the right. So you can see you can have multiple types of layouts, and then you can put an application on the right. So let's reopen Ghosty. So Ghosty open on the bottom. So what if I want to open on the right? So you can break it down like this. So there's many different layouts that you can do, which is really, really nice. I'm gonna close Ghosty again. I'm gonna move this back to the left. All right, so I forgot, don't use the mouse. So we're gonna go down, and this allows you to split Alt Control H and V. So remember, Alt is Option, Option Control H, Option Control V, and then if I wanted to go full screen, just Option F makes the application full screen, and then go back. And then as you can see, I'm just gonna do it with the mouse. But if I was to pick an application and move it, it snaps back. But if I move to right, it snaps to the other side. So there's no way to resize this, because if I try to resize it, it's just gonna go back and take up the full space. It's because right now they're set in that manner. So in order to, if you wanted an application not to be restricted and to automatically go back, no, of course I broke it. There you go. Look at that, I broke it. Okay, but if you didn't want it to snap, you can do here what's called Alt Shift Space, and it will float. The tile will float. So I'm going to do that with the Chrome browser. So right now I'm on the right, so I'm holding Option H, and now here the key binding is Alt Shift Space. So Alt or Option Shift Space. Now the application is floating, so now it no longer snaps, so it's floating above the application. And as you can see, Kitty in the background just took up the entire window. So if I wanted to go back, just Alt Shift Space or Option Shift Space, and now it's back to snapping in the grid, in the window tile. You can obviously resize, so I can make this bigger, smaller, 50%. And now here's, these are the workspaces. So earlier you saw workspace A, B, and C, which is on the second monitor. Let's see if this, okay, there you go. Yeah, A, B, and C is over here. And then here on this monitor, I'll just do this. On this monitor, I have workspace 1 through 9, essentially. I primarily only use workspace 1 through 6. So if I wanted to switch to a workspace, as you can see here, it says Alt So Option and then hit 1, switches here, and 2. And then if there's no applications open in any workspace, that workspace would not be displayed on top. That's a setting that in Sketchybar. But if I do go to that workspace, it's going to go and it's going to open the workspace and it's going to show no applications are up and running. So the same thing, I can just go 4, 5, 6. And those names, by the way, they're in Sketchybar. I declare those words. So it's static. It doesn't change depending on the apps you have open. But this allows me to create these workspaces and to use them for a specific purpose so that I'm focused on that purpose when I use this workspace. If I wanted to move an application, as you can see here at the bottom, it says Alt-Shift, right? It says Move Node to Workspace. So let's say I wanted to move Kitty. I just hold Option, Shift, and let's move to 3. So now it moves to 3, right? And then I have it set up. I can't remember where it is, but essentially you can set it up that when you move it to a different workspace, either you move with the application or you stay on the screen you're on. I like to move with the application. It's one of these settings down here. I can't remember what it is. Maybe. Anyways, I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. But so it's something easy to find on the configuration. But I'm gonna move it back to workspace 2, and then we can see here, and then move to the left. So pretty nice. Some of these I don't really use. So this is mode service. This allows you to reload your config. So if you made a change, you hold Alt, Shift, semicolon, and then you hit escape. That's all that means. So it reloads the config. So Alt, Shift, right, semicolon, and then R, flatten the workspace. I think it did it. Did I do it? Alt, Shift, semicolon? Maybe I did not. Let me see. Alt, Shift, semicolon, R. I don't know. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I'm not sure. But you can tell, actually, if you go over here, you can actually do it from here too. So this is Aerospace, and you can kind of see Alt Shift semicolon is right here, and then it moved to that for some reason. That was weird. Anyways, and then at the bottom, what I have is certain applications I do not want them to open up and snap. I just want them to open up floating. So you can see here I have SF symbols and Finder. Right, it was kind of annoying having Finder snap. So I'm just gonna open up SF symbols. It was annoying too because some of the symbols wouldn't show properly when it was snapped. So I just have it floating, and very easy to float. And the command here is on window detected, right? If app ID is this, then run layout floating. And the way you find out what it is, what the app ID is, I'm gonna open up a new window. I'm gonna put Aerospace list apps, and here it tells you what the app ID is. So you kind of copy this and you use this here. So these are the apps. I'm gonna go ahead and close this window. I think I have SF symbols open. Yeah, let me just close it. Okay, cool. There you go. So another cool thing. That's pretty much it for Aerospace. I do like and enjoy how the usability of Aerospace. Of course, the phone is not working again, but it's just pretty neat to be able to move and arrange things and not have to pick up your mouse to do things. And a cool little tip that I learned, I think yep, there you go. So I'm going to move over to window A, which is over here. So I'm going to hold Option A, and now I have VS Code selected. I'm just going to move it over to C so you see like the benefit of just having this, in this kind of vertical layout. You can see so much more information. So that's really neat. I'll move back to Option A, and then if I wanted to move this up or down, just hold Alt, Shift, and then K, J, up and down. And then I could do left and right, obviously doesn't make the most sense in this screen layout. But that's pretty nice. So that's really neat. I really like it. So this is my why I use Aerospace. So again, I kind of went over not to use the mouse as often and to be able to keep my hands on the keyboard, and I found myself to be a lot more productive. One little neat tip that I learned recently was I'm going to go back to my main window. I'm going to go to Google Chrome. So to go here, I already know this is the second screen. So Option 2. So now I'm on Kitty. Now I'm going to hold Option L to go to the right. And you can obviously hit Tab to get to certain places, but I did find a keyboard shortcut that if you hold Command and press L, it goes to the URL. And from here you can copy, change it, so that's really handy and it's really neat. If you wanted to switch tabs, just hold Control and press Tab, and that goes in forward. If you wanted to go backwards, Control Shift Tab, so that goes backwards. And if you wanted to switch, and let's say you have less than 9 open windows, you can just hold Command and press 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it goes to whatever order they're in. So that's really nice. So that's helped me quite a bit. Open a new tab, Command T. Open a new window, Command N. Right. So I've gotten used to using the keyboard a lot more often. All right. So the next thing let's go over is Sketchybar. So Sketchybar is at the very top. So it adds those cool little workspace notification, detail, and allows the time, the volume, and the date on the right, and the battery percentage. So I really like it. So I have it in here. Let's just go to the folder, Sketchybar. I'm gonna open the folder. I'm not gonna go over it in all detail, but this is essentially the bar, the blur radius, the padding left and right, the window. I'm gonna go left. So this is a tree explorer. I'm using Lazy Vim. I kind of like it because it's all in one. I don't have to worry about configuring my own NeoVim for now. Maybe down the road I'll dabble into configuring my own NeoVim, but I'm enjoying Lazy Vim. I know it has a little extras, things that I don't use, but it works well. But hold Control H goes to the left. So colors. So these are the local colors that I set. These are the themes that I set, the colors. So I have this Capuchin, which I think the colors are really, really nice. And at the top you see the buffer or the open applications. So you hold Shift and hit H and L to move between those. And then I want to go back to the Explorer, so just hold Control, press H. So that's really nice. Let's go to is anything? No, not helper. Let's go to items. So items where you have your widgets. So my workspaces. So right here, this is where it's tied to Aerospace. So this is where, it gets the color settings, app icons, WS colors. And this is where the workspace names come from. So 1, web, 2, code, 3, media, 4, editing. I can change these as I want. 79, I forgot. I ran out of the name, so I just put numbers, and I was like, I don't even use these, but they're there as a backup, just in case. And it's cool, because when you have more applications open on different workspaces, they will all appear at the top. So let me just open up different applications. I'm going to go to here. I'll go to 4. I'm going to open up Sigma OS. Wait for it to open. Go to 5. Let's see. Sigma does not have an app icon, so it has a generic icon. Edge on here. 6. I'm going to open up NVIDIA. GeForce Now. I'm waiting for it to open because if you switch screens while the app is still opening, it will open at the current screen you're on. So you can see all your applications that are open. Number 4, it's unfortunate. Sigma just doesn't have an icon, and so it's just a generic icon. But most applications do have icons, so you can tell what application is open in what window. So you can see here, it's very hard to see, but at the top I can see the VS Code icon, the Zen browser icon, and then the Discord icon. So I know what applications are open where. And because I'm on the Mac, on C or B, sometimes I'll open up like messages so I can message my wife. But when there's too many distractions, I obviously close them. So let me go back to the main screen. I'm not going to go over all of this in detail. There's a lot of lines of code here. So if I go to the bottom, it's 244. And I used to have a audio function. So if I go here to media, so it would actually open at the very middle, at the top of the screen. I'm going to just move my mouse. It will open up here when I'll play music. But it relied on a GitHub plugin that accessed some property, but I forgot what update, but there was an update that Apple did that essentially blocked the application from reaching that, API or whatnot. and this stopped working. So maybe I'll figure out an alternative eventually. See Apple, this is the Apple icon on the top left. Widgets, so I have the battery. I don't have the CPU loaded. I think you can have here, yeah. So I only have the battery and the volume loaded. I don't have the Wi-Fi loaded because, I mean, I'm usually at home connected, so I didn't really care. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty neat. Sketchybar is awesome. I really like it. And it goes well with Aerospace. And the other app is JankyBorders, but it's not much to say. JankyBorders is just this red. You can change this as you need. Let me just close this. Just a QA all. And then I think there is, maybe I think it's called Borders. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Man Borders. So it kind of tells you what to do, like style, active color, inactive color. There's not many settings, so I just like the red. You know, it's one of my favorite colors. It's very easy to see and tell what application you're on, so it helps a lot. And lastly, what I did replace the Apple Spotlight, and I'm using Raycast. I haven't used any of the advanced features of Raycast. I just use it primarily just to look for applications, and sometimes too when applications are crashing or having issues. I do like this option K at the bottom. So I hit option K, so I can open the app, show in Finder, show info in Finder, show package contents, add to favorites, configure the app, reset ranking, right copy name. But here I can quit, force quit, enable auto quit, restart application, disable. So it's really nice. I mean, I like the advanced features, and I notice it works a lot faster than Spotlight. So I do enjoy it. So that is my Aerospace setup using Sketchybar, Borders or JankyBorders. Yeah, as you can see here, JankyBorders, a window border system for macOS, and Raycast. So it's really, really nice. And let me just quit this real quickly. Okay. and I use Kitty as my terminal. I really like Kitty. I use Z shell as my shell. Yeah, but it's pretty cool, you know. So using NeoVim, using LazyVim, so it's pretty fun. So yeah, if you have any questions or you want me to share my configuration, I can easily do that on GitHub. I have no problem. Most of the things that I've got, I actually just scoured GitHub. And then I kind of learned a little bit of Lua just to get an understanding of how to create Lua files and how does it work. So it's just a mix. It was just a trial and error. I spent so much time setting this up, and I felt like, not that I wasted a lot of time. I did learn quite a bit, but then I felt like I was pushing back my goals. So one of my goals is to learn JavaScript. So I felt like the more I kept configuring and tinkering and doing all these things, I felt like it really took a time away from me focusing on my goals. So anyways, yeah, if you have any questions, if you want to know more information, just let me know in the comments below. And thank you all. Peace.